Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at a pretty substantial sized box here. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends All New X-Men Toys R Us exclusive pack. In this box set, you'll get yourself the four classic, I should really say the five classic X-Men characters from the original X-Men comics. Reimagined in the all-new X-Men designs. And you get yourself Angel, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast, and Iceman. Spot was actually very lucky that his friend, the Review Revolution, was able to send this my way, because this is a Toys R Us exclusive. However, sadly, Canada never got this set. So that was kind of a disappointing thing, but at least I was able to pick this up and get this reviewed for you guys. And again, thank you to the Review Revolution for sending this my way. This comes to us from the folks over at Hasbro. It's recommended for ages 4 and up. Really awesome artwork on the front. I would have loved this as a poster or possibly even as a t-shirt. Some really phenomenal design. The box is also quite large, as you can see. There's the top of the box, way past my backdrop there. Also, too, the inside of the box opens up, and you've got the same image on the inside there. Marvel's Angel, Marvel Girl, Marvel's Cyclops, Iceman, and Marvel's Beast. With mutants on the brink of civil war, heroes from the past are summoned to protect the future. You have your characters inside, all the characters included there. And then finally on the back, an image of the characters, image of all 5 figures. With mutants on the brink of civil war, again, heroes from the past are summoned to protect the future. You can head over to www.hasbro.com. You can also head over to marvelkids.com if you want to check out some of the stuff that they've got going on over there. This is going to be one fantastic set. I can't wait to get this opened up. I'm going to take a break, going to get this opened, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the all-new X-Men Marvel Legends box set. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. With the box set opened up, we have all 5 figures out. I know Angel's kind of just laying down right now. Some of them have a tough time really standing. The one thing I kind of wish that this box set had actually come with was display stands. Display stands for these would have been really, really nice. I'm even surprised I can get Marvel Girl to stand properly, but I mean, display stands would have been a great presentation for these. This set is a fairly expensive set too. I guess really when you compare it to the individual costs of what a single Marvel Legend would be, it probably works out to be about the same. But yeah, display stands would have been really a nice added touch. So why don't we actually start, you know what, we'll start on the end here and let's have a look at the figures individually. Now, coloring wise, they all have pretty much the same colored suits, slightly different from one another, I guess Iceman really being the only difference with the figures. But yeah, they've got kind of like a bluish, blackish gray color. It's not quite gray, it's not quite black, and it's not quite blue. It's kind of like something in between that they've got on their suits. And then they've got the yellow with additional orange wash that they've put in the torso. The problem I find is some of the additional orange doesn't quite gel with the rest of the bodies. Like when we have a look at Marvel Girl, you'll kind of see what I mean. Cyclops kind of has this as well. But it seems like the painting that they put down the front torso section kind of stops usually right around their belt area. And then below the belt, it's just a straight yellow. They don't have any of the extra wash down there. I'm not really sure why they didn't carry it all the way down. It's kind of like they just really painted the top torso and decided just to leave the rest, the rest as is. Having said that, really for the suits, the individual figures are pretty good. For starters, again, we're having a look at Beast. Now, this is original classic Beast, or I know it's kind of reimagined with like the all-new X-Men, but it's still very similar to what we got with the original Beast. The back section of Beast has peg holes in his back, but really he doesn't come with anything. And a lot of these bodies, you'll probably find yourself knowing that these were reused from other Marvel Legends body builds. So this body was probably used for something other than Beast that relied on those pegs on the back there. This Beast, though, does not need it. Beast's face is pretty good. He doesn't have much in the way of expression on his face. It's just kind of a closed mouth, open eyes, kind of straight out face. Like, kind of reminds me of, what's it, Wrecking Ball? I'm trying to think of one of the, I think it was like Wrecking Ball, where he had a similar face like this. He had the red mask and everything else like that, but it's not bad. He's got the bare arms, and of course the bare exposed hobbit-like feet. Not really much in the way of texture underneath, but yeah, peg holes, just no display bases. Beast is obviously a lot bigger than the other X-Men figures. I mean, as he should be. He is much more bigger in the comics. And more importantly, with his extra articulation, I probably would have Beast more crouched, as that's how I usually picture the original Beast, the without blue fur Beast. For your articulation, again, they're pretty much all on par with one another, but Beast's articulation is he has a ball joint in the head, which is actually a pin and socket. So it basically means the hinge allows the head to move up and down, but then you've got the ball joint that allows a lot of movability in the head. As for the shoulders are on hinged sockets, ball and hinge sockets too, so they rotate forward, back, out, swivel in the bicep, double bend in the elbow, and a swivel in the hand. Actually, you know what? I don't think the hands, the forearms are actually, no, you can't swivel the hands. And also the hands themselves, I like this open grip that he's got, whereas this one is just like a closed fist, but you can't rotate the wrists. I mean, they're just sculpted in as you see here. Upper torso, by the way, Beast has the crunch, swivel in the waist. You'll also see that their belts are a loose piece, again, because they're probably reusing an existing body. I almost feel like this is a body of Sabretooth from the Wolverine series that came from Marvel Legends. I might be wrong in that. His proportions make a little more sense than what we got with Sabretooth. I remember Sabretooth being a lot more squatty. Also, too, Toxin, while I feel like he did use the upper torso, different legs, though. And these are a much nicer looking leg, unless they've obviously just tabbed on the extra feet, and that's what's giving them the extra length. Whereas maybe this section right here is a reuse, and then, that the extra feet is what gives them the extra length, which I like this sized figure, and I hope, other than just changing out the feet, they would reuse this. But when you get down to the legs themselves, they are on the new articulation, so the nice ball joint hinges. They rotate out, forward and back. Swivel in the thigh, a nice double bend at the knee, swivel in the foot, and a hinged pivot in the foot as well. So Beast, you can get a lot of different poses out of him. And, depending on how you want to pose him, you can kind of, kind of pose him any which way that you want. But there you have Beast. Beast, I'm going to give him a 7.5. A pretty good looking figure. Not maybe the Beast that we all know and love, but still a Beast nonetheless. Putting Beast to the side. And you know what? Let's have a look at Angel. I was going to really go across this way, but let's have a look at Angel. Now, Angel has a lot of similar aspects to Cyclops. In fact, I think if you look at it, both Cyclops and Angel really share the exact same body. The only thing that's different is the head. Obviously, the one other thing that's included with Angel is the wings. Now, the wings, though, I kind of wish that they had a second peg at the top there and a second peg hole. Reason for it is because you plug it into the back, but it's not a very secure fit. The wings just kind of swing back and forth. There's no real second. If there had been a second peg, you could have pegged the wings in a little more securely, and the wings wouldn't have gone anywhere. It's a decent enough looking wing. There's no articulation or anything like that to speak of, but some decent sculpt in the wings themselves. Because his body will share the same with Cyclops, there's really not a lot to touch base on, but you will notice, though, that the additional orange wash that they put in the torso carries also over into the gloves and carries also into the boots, but like the hands, the feet, and then the lower torso have remained a straight yellow. And I don't know why they couldn't have carried that darker wash down here, because it does look sectional. Pretty much right from the, even if I move the belt down, you can see right where that stops. It stops right there, and then the rest is just one singular color until you get to the boots again. Face-wise, it's not a bad-looking face. I kind of imagine more so Angel having a more light-hearted look on his face as opposed to a more serious look like, say, Beast or Cyclops. So I can accept this kind of facial sculpt on Angel. It kind of suits him. It's not quite the face that I would imagine Angel to have, but still, it's a good-looking face. Articulation on Angel, his head does rotate up and down via, again, that ball hinge socket. Same hinge socket in the shoulders, same rotation in the bicep, double bend at the elbow. Despite the fact that he has the Buccaneer gloves, he does have, I think, some rotation. No, he doesn't have any rotation in the glove, but a hinge and rotation in the hand. Upper torso crunch, rotation in the waist. Legs go forward, back, out, swivel at the thigh, a double bend at the knee, swivel at the boot, and again, that hinged foot. Now, speaking of stands, would have loved to actually have gotten a stand for Angel that he could have actually had him in a flying pose. You know, you could have had the knees kind of bent, and you could have done something clever like that. But again, he doesn't have any way to hover. I suppose if you had like a clip stand, something that you could clip onto the back of his waist, you could kind of have him levitating. But I mean, again, like X stands, just a basic X stand, black with a big X across it, would have been a perfect way to display these pieces. Sadly, though, they don't come with any sort of display stands. Really, for that matter, either, they don't come with any sort of accessories. By the way, Angel, I'm going to give him a 7. Not a bad figure. I'm going to give him a 7. Putting him to the side, and yes, he does not stand very well. The culprit really is that he has very small feet. I can get Cyclops to stand, but having a tough time really getting Angel to stand. Help me out here, buddy. No? Okay, we'll just lay you down. I'm going to leave these two for the end because really, personal favorites, these two are my favorites. So I'm going to have a look at Iceman. And Iceman, I kind of hate to say, he is the most disappointing figure in this set. The face isn't bad, but I find like his body is so greatly disproportionate from one another. Like, his hands, or his arms and his legs are fine, but the culprit is like this section right here. He's got really narrow shoulders. Like, even comparing him to, like, let's say he may not have the same build as Cyclops. That's a given. He may not have the same build. But at least Cyclops proportionately fits his frame better. Iceman's got such a narrow frame. He's got such this really weird, awkward, narrow torso. Also, his head squished. I don't know if you can make this out on camera here, because again, all of his coloring is one straight color. But his head seems really, really squished. It doesn't work for me. I feel like had they only given him like a similar head to maybe Angel, different expression, but at least Angel's head is longer. In fact, let's bring Angel in. You can see, yeah, normal head on Angel and proportionately normal body on Angel. But then you look at Iceman and it's like, what is going on with Iceman? He's a skinny guy, but he kind of looks like Dalsim from Street Fighter. He's just really oddly proportioned. He also doesn't have, and this would have been a prime opportunity to give him some accessories. He doesn't come with the, the sled, the little wave of ice that you would expect him to come with, nor does he come with any sort of ice attachments. He's pretty bare bones. But I don't like this I don't like this body that they gave him. His articulation, though, would be the same, and he's got a really shiny face, despite the fact that the rest of his body is just more of a matte color. And also, instead of it being straight out white, they've kind of given it like more of a pearlesque kind of coloring to his body. But he's got an extremely shiny face. His articulation, though, would be the same as the others, so I won't spend too much on that. But he has swivel in the arms and double bend in the elbows. crunch, rotation of the waist. You've seen this all before, so I'm not showing you really anything necessarily new. Iceman, though, is just really disappointing. I had high hopes. The set as a whole, I find the pros outweigh the cons. There's some things I don't like about the set. Iceman really being the one. Iceman is one of the more disappointing aspects to this set. The rest of the figures stand up pretty well, no pun intended, even though Angel's on the ground there. But Iceman really is the disappointing figure of this set. And Iceman, I'm only going to give you a 6. Putting him to the back, not to subject him to being all the way at the back, but let's have a look at Marvel Girl. Now, Marvel Girl and Cyclops equally are probably my favorite figures from this set. Again, no display stand, and she doesn't come with any sort of attachments or accessories, but she's still at least a good-looking figure. Her face, very, very retro in design, like the old classic mask that really all the X-Men share except for Iceman. And then she's got the hair sticking out the back. I mean, that's how you see classic Jean Grey, and I really like it. Now, again, her paint, they've given her this dark wash that goes all the way down to about here, and then the rest of the body, including the back of her, is just straight yellow. Also, she's got a much darker coloring in the gloves, and in fact, her coloring is darker than all the other X-Men, because as opposed to just giving her a regular wash and gradually putting it to the yellow, they've just outright given her a dark, dark yellow. It works if the rest of the body looked like that, but unfortunately, even her hands are a different color than her gloves. From a distance, though, you're really not going to see it, nor probably are you going to also see that hit her boots, which are probably the biggest culprits. Her feet are lighter than the rest of her boots. So it's a real shame, but again, from a distance, you may not even see that. Her articulation, though in a female build, is pretty, again, similar to what we've seen already. Head is on a ball socket hinge. You can't rotate it as much because the hair does limit a lot of that movement. You can't also move it up and down all that much either. Hinge socket shoulders. Oh, hinge socket shoulders. They rotate forward and back. A nice bend in the elbow, rotation in the forearm, rotation and bend in the elbow, or in the wrist, I should say. That's actually that's a good pose right there. That's probably how I might end up keeping her. She has a ball joint upper torso. And then as for the legs go forward and back. Now, the thing though about the legs seem like they're on this awkward kind of hinge. Once again, I think they used an old body for Marvel Girl here. So she has that hinge that you have to rotate forward to swing the legs out. Or as it currently stands, her legs do go out this way because the hinge is on this side. See, that's one thing I don't really like. But she does have a swivel in the thigh, nice double bend at the knee, and a bend and rotation in the foot. Marvel Girl is one of my favorites from this set. I might actually even think Cyclops could be my potentially favorite from this set. But Marvel Girl and I think Cyclops are by far my two favorite. And for that reason, I'm going to give her an 8. Putting her to the side, and again, hopefully she's going to stand. I say hopefully, but stands, display stands, very nice. Would have been a nice bonus in this set. Yeah, maybe I'll just kind of lean her against Beast. Cyclops won't mind. And finally, looking at Cyclops. Now, I think this Cyclops has been reused. Body-wise, it has been reused. Head-wise, I think it's also been a reuse as well, which is fine. I mean, at least it's a reuse of a current Hasbro-released Cyclops and not a re-release of, let's say, the Toy Biz Cyclops, which I'm not really super a fan of. His coloring is great. I mean, his coloring is on par exactly with Angel. We've kind of already had a look at that. But, you know, I've always loved Cyclops in like this kind of color with the, you know, the Cyclops. I've also really liked the hood. I know I like Jim Lee Cyclops where you have the exposed hair, but I still always really go back and gravitate to the original Cyclops as well. Now, you were to ask yourself, does he actually be able to reach his visor? And it doesn't look like he can. Though he can bend, double bend at the elbow, it doesn't look like he can actually reach his visor. So that kind of is a shame. Head sculpt, though, is good. Paint, pretty good. And again, like the darker orange stops right at his waist. And below that, it's just nothing but yellow. Peg hole on the back, though he does share that again with Angel there. This guy's Buccaneer gloves, Buccaneer boots. I say Buccaneer, I mean like the old musketeer kind of boots there. Cyclops, though, is a good-looking figure. Articulation, same on as the other figures there. I'm curious as to why there's a little bit of paint missing on the inner torso there. So it makes me think like his whole body, yeah, right there, you can see his whole body is a yellow. They've painted the blue over top. It's bluish gray. Articulation would be the same as what we've already had a look at, though he's a little looser in the upper torso, which is a shame. The crunch especially is super, super loose. The rest of the body, though, is still a pretty tight joints on the knees, tight joints on the elbows. I mean, he's a good-looking figure. Also, too, yeah, it looks like this hand is the one that's really geared towards operating his optic blast. But, yeah, again, you can't, doesn't look like you can actually reach it with that. So, that's a shame, but that's all right. Cyclops, rating-wise, Cyclops, I'm going to give him also an 8. He's a great-looking figure. Paint's really good, other than, you know, the one area there that's missing the blue. But as a whole, though, he's a great-looking figure. This is a decent enough set. This is a great way to get, like, some of the classic X-Men. And I wish I still had my Toy Biz set, the Toy Biz original X-Men. I did a review of it, but it was so many years ago that, you know, video quality isn't what it was. I kind of wish I could have had a chance to do those again. And if I still had the set, I kind of wish I could have done a comparison. Night and day, obviously, better articulation, better sculpt on this set. It's not a perfect set, don't get me wrong. Beast, as much as I love Beast, kind of wish his face was a little more, not grimacing, but I kind of wish they had more of an expression in his face. The rest of the team are decent. Angel's wings, kind of wish that they could peg in a little bit better. But really the atrocity, if I could use such a harsh word for the set, the atrocity, I think, is the Iceman. But this is a great set. If you guys can still find these at Toys R Us, I would say it's a set you would definitely want to pick up if you are collecting Marvel Legends. That being said, today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Hasbro, the all-new X-Men box set. Thanks for watching, as you always do, guys, and certainly stay tuned. Get him more in frame. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.